Shocked is an understatement. The Seahawks take a cornerback at the 5th pick in the draft. And no, not a quarterback, CB, cornerback. They take Devon Witherspoon from Illinois, and I'm in shock. I thought it was clear as day that they were either going to trade back right there because Richardson was gone and Will Anderson was gone. The quarterback I thought we were taking and the defensive lineman I thought we were taking. And then I was like, all right, it's Jalen Carter. But it wasn't. They went with a corner. I'm shocked, in all honesty. I was not expecting that. It's classic Seahawks move where they lead people to think many other things, and it ends up being nothing of what the fan base thought. Taking a corner at 5 is a big deal. It's a big swing, but I'm going to believe in Pete and John. And so when I say I'm shocked, when I say I think we might regret not taking Jalen Carter a little bit, that's just my honest opinion. I know Jalen Carter had a little bit of off-field issues, but I think he's going to be very dominant in the NFL, and I think we might regret it a little bit. But now you look at our defense with Tariq Woolen and Witherspoon there, and then everything else in the secondary is already great. Let me just read to you what we got going on in the secondary. Jamal Adams, Trey Brown, Kobe Bryant, Quandre Diggs, Michael Jackson, Julian Love, Devon Witherspoon, Tariq Woolen. There's so much going on there. Now, one of my biggest concerns is why, with Trey Brown coming back this year, with Kobe Bryant, we have so many corners. Michael Jackson's in the secondary. Julian Love, Jamal Adams, Quandre Diggs, 3 safeties. I feel like we're just stacking up players at positions, even though traditionally we don't need that many good players at those positions. So the Seahawks are doing something a little tricky, which I'm okay with as well, because the Seahawks tend to win. There's a reason we don't draft in the top 5 very often, or ever actually. In my lifetime, they don't draft in the top 5 because we're usually a good football team. So the decisions usually made are the right ones for the most part. But simply, I just wanted to talk and have a little bit of a reaction over the Devon Witherspoon pickup. I mean, draft, whatever you want to call it. I went ahead and went through some tweets, screenshots, thoughts. I'm going to read off some things I'm reading and tell you about what I think about the pick. Let's just start with the fact that he was a consensus All-American at Illinois, which doesn't happen very many times. They don't have that many players that are drafted really high in the draft. They don't get that many All-Americans during this era of Illinois football. But he was a consensus All-American, which is a good start. And he had more interceptions in his career, 5 of them, 5 interceptions, than pass touchdowns allowed, 4. So he had 5 interceptions and 4 passing touchdowns allowed. That means he's a lockdown corner. Obviously, why he went in the top 5, but that's a stat that I already like to see. Field Yates from ESPN had some really nice words to say about him in his tweet, and it obviously helps me get some confidence in this guy. Field Yates tweeted, "The toughest player pound for pound in this draft is Devon Witherspoon. The Seahawks just got one of the filthiest cornerbacks we've seen in a long time. He's going to fit perfectly in Seattle and be an absolute tone setter for that defense." And if you just YouTube some of his highlights, you'll see he's like a Cam Chancellor of DBs. There's a lot of just hits where he's knocking people over, making them fumble. He's, just Bam Bam style, just knocking people out. Let's add some more stats. He allowed the second lowest QBR, 5.2, and the second fewest yards per attempt, 3.3, in the FBS as the nearest defender in coverage last season as well. So not only, I think there's 2 parts to this. If you go look at tape, and I'll get some tape up here, whatever I can, the stats match the tape and the tape matches the stats. So it's not just numbers and it's not just tape. It's both. You see some of these numbers, you watch the tape, and it all adds up. And that's usually the good thing. I don't like sometimes when you see these stats, you watch the tape, and there's just nothing that explosive, or vice versa. You see this explosive player, but the stats aren't lining up. He has both. That's why he's a top 5 pick at corner. Here's some more stats about Devon Witherspoon. 22 receptions allowed on 63 catchable targets. Only 6 went for first downs. 3 picks, 18 forced incompletions. A 25 pass rating when targeted per PFF. Inside-out versatility. And multiple highlight reel run stops, which is another big thing here. So if you go through the tape, he will be jumping towards the line, hitting running backs, making plays at the line, not just in the secondary. And here's something interesting is when you compare his stats to Sauce Gardner, and they pretty much had nearly identical stats in college last year. 2021 Sauce Gardner and 2022 Devon Witherspoon. These are their stats in coverage. Sauce gave up 0 touchdowns and had 3 interceptions. Witherspoon did the exact same thing. 0 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Yards per pass attempt on Sauce Gardner was 3.1. It was even a little better for Witherspoon at 3.0. And the QB pass rating against him, for Sauce Gardner, it was a 21. For Witherspoon, it was 23.2. Very identical college stats. Playing in conferences that are, not the best conferences in football, but even for Witherspoon, even a harder conference, in my opinion, than where Sauce Gardner is playing for Cincinnati. And we'll top it off with a little story, one of those, the perfect draft night sob stories. Nothing about family, but Devon Witherspoon did not start playing football until he was a junior in high school. Witherspoon was a 0-star recruit and garnered just one Power 5 offer, which was Illinois. Today, Witherspoon was made the highest drafted DB in Illinois history, and this is who the Seahawks got. And there's a reason I say that story, because Witherspoon did not start playing until he was a junior in high school. 0-star recruit, garnered just one Power 5 offer. You know what that tells me? There's a project to it still. Now, even though he was a consensus All-American, even though his stats are amazing, I know the one thing we can say about the Seahawks, because I did say I was shocked that they did not take Jalen Carter, and I was shocked that maybe they didn't trade back. You never know what the Seahawks are going to do is really the biggest issue with predicting what's going to happen in the draft, because a lot of times we have no idea what the Seahawks are going to do. We just have no idea. Everyone thought might get Anthony Richardson. Well, he went 4th. Will Anderson, or maybe we're going to wait and trade back. Everybody had all these opinions. Jalen Carter. No one had the opinion that Devon Witherspoon was going to go 5th. That's what the Seahawks do. And I know the one other thing we know they do is love projects. And this is a project. They love the Richard Sherman projects. They love Tariq Woolen. Oh, he fits the body type, the style we like, and get him late in the draft. This is not late in the draft, but we know the 0-star recruit and started playing football his junior year of high school. That's very classic Seahawks to say, oh, there is so much more room to grow with this guy. Not only is he worth the top 5 pick, not only was he a consensus All-American, we can groom him in this system to be with Tariq Woolen, to be next to Trey Brown and Kobe Bryant, and build the next Legion of Boom that we have. Jamal Adams back there, Quandre Diggs back there, Julian Love back there. The whole secondary in general, when you bring in a guy like that to that secondary that can teach him and groom him, a guy that's only been playing football for 4 or 5 years, not 10, 15 years. He's not stuck in his ways yet. He doesn't have his exact thing. He's played 2 years in high school and 3 years in college. He's never been on a team for 5, 6, 7 years with a system like the Seahawks, let's say. They're going to teach him exactly what they need him to do and build him into the player that he can become. So I truly believe the Seahawks saw this as an opportunity to say, oh, we can make this guy even better than what he already is, which is a top 5 pick, consensus All-American. So at the end of the day, I like the pick. I still think there might be some regret on the Jalen Carter front. The Eagles ended up with him, which their defense is going to be badass. But there is still some regret. I think when we watch some games for the Eagles next year, we're going to say, damn, that is good, and we might need that position still. I don't know what we're going to do at 20. It's coming up here soon. I'm recording this during the middle of New England's on the board, but we need something on the defensive line at the 20th pick. I hope that happens, but regardless of regretting it or not, I think this is just one of those strategy moves by the Seahawks, and I'm excited to see what happens. Let's get on to the 20th pick next, and best of luck to the Seahawks and Devon Witherspoon with the Seahawks. I love it. I'm Sammy on tap on everything, SAMI on tap, and check out the links. Please follow us anywhere, especially Twitter, Sammy on tap, and Sant Seattle, SONT Seattle. I'll tag that page. That's our All Seattle Sports page. Me and my brother, our podcast, and that's where you'll find all of our tweets, Instagrams. You got to check us out there. We love you, and thanks for the support. Peace. All right, I decided to make my Seahawks draft reaction video just one video today because I talked 10 minutes about Devon Witherspoon. But now I'm going to talk about, with the 20th pick, Jaxon Smith Njigba, the wide receiver from Ohio State. And I did some YouTube searching on how to say it, so I know I'm saying it right. Jaxon Smith Njigba. And I'm just going to say this. I'm not going to sit here and give you like some fake stats that I don't have. I'm not going to sit here and say I've studied so much film, because I haven't. But I know that he was the best receiver on the board. There was teams like New England Patriot fans that wanted him 4 or 5 picks ago. This year, there was 2 running backs off the board and 0 wide receivers, which is really weird for 2023. But we got the first receiver off the board, the best receiver in the draft, and got him at 20. This is good for Geno Smith. This is good for Lockett and Metcalf. We have a super solid receiving core right now. We already did, but now it's next level. If he's going to be your number 3, he's a guy that some teams would have drafted as their number 1 or number 2 guy, for the future. He's our number 3. Geno Smith has a team now. Yes, we still have to address the defensive line, center, a couple other pieces, but the Seahawks are planning on doing that at some point in the draft, and they're smarter than me or you on this camera. I give my opinion because I love talking about this. So I'm not going to act like I'm smarter than the Seattle Seahawks. Pete Carroll loves to take the best player available, as I said with the Devon Witherspoon, and he loves skill players. And Jaxon Smith Njigba is there at 20 from Ohio State. We know he's a good receiver, played in some huge games in his career, and you know what? He slipped in the draft due to some injuries, but he is that good. And I know this is an amazing pick for the Seahawks. It's smart by Pete Carroll and John Schneider. It's smart for Geno Smith. They ended up not going quarterback. Maybe they'll take somebody. They didn't go Will Levi or anybody else to make Geno distracted from his job. Geno's the guy. You got your receivers. The defense is going to be stacked. Yes, we have to pick up interior, offensive and defensive line. I understand that, but they're building something really special. I'm hyped about this pick at 20. I'm even more excited at this pick at 20 than I was at number 5 because at least I actually was talking to my brother right before the pick. I picked 14 or 15. I was like, they're going to take Jaxon Smith and Njigba. They're just going to do it because we keep talking about defensive line and edge rusher, and they need a center, maybe a tight end. I'm like, okay, well, they went corner. Now they're going to go receiver this early because why not? They're the Seahawks. So I love it. I'm excited. Please comment what video you want to see next. I'll be doing Seahawks, Mariners content, all Seattle sports. I'm opening up a page for other sports, NBA, NFL. If you guys want to see that, let me know. I'm going to start dropping the link in the videos. I appreciate all the love and support. We'll be back soon. Go Hawks, baby.